Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel gyaaniPARAM. In my quest to bring you success stories of people who have successfully completed their accounting qualifications like CPA, ACCA and CA. Today, I have with me Nikhil Gandhi, who recently completed his CPA, and that too with a world rank in one of the papers. So let's hear out from Nikhil how he completed this amazing qualification. Let's see what preparations he did for the same and also the mindset which was required to achieve this remarkable feat. Hey Nikhil, welcome to my channel gyaaniPARAM. Thanks for joining in.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And I understand that you're a senior manager at one of the big fours, and I understand the sort of responsibilities that you'd have. So, I mean, it's a commendable effort from your part to take out time and, help out anybody who's seeking guidance on professional qualifications.
That's amazing, Nikhil. Thanks for your kind words, man. And just for introductions for everyone, right? I'll just give you a couple of minutes to introduce yourself, and then we will walk the people through what achievement you have achieved in the past, say, month or so, right?
Yep. So I am Nikhil Gandhi, and I work with one of the big fours. And I recently completed the CPA qualification, the US CPA. And in the process, I sort of achieved really high scores and also world rank one in one of the sections.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I worked with the audit practice, so it was a bit of effortful process just to get through this.
And that's amazing, right? We firstly people struggle to complete any professional qualification, but your circumstances when I saw your LinkedIn post, right? I was really happy to see somebody working in a big four full time and then achieving something which is so remarkable, world rank number one, right? So before we go to your world rank accolades, right? How did you start or how did you think of pursuing CPA, Nikhil?
Oh, so just to be very honest, I mean, it was one of the toughest decisions. And I would even go on to say that more than pursuing the qualification, taking the decision was tougher because what I had was three good opportunities in front of me. I had MBA and I had ACCA and then also I had CPA. So deciding between these three, it was a nightmare. You know, uh, I would not like to admit how much time I took just to decide between these three. Because the thing is that all of these three are excellent choices for anybody. And it was just very gruesome process just to select between these three. But I sort of evaluated each and every qualification on its own, on its merits and demerits, and how they are relevant for me. And I found that CPA was perhaps most sensible choice for me. So just went ahead with the CPA.
That's amazing. And what role your mentors played a part in selecting this qualification? I know you mentioned you work for a big four. There would be many CPAs, ACCAs, or even CAs who work for uh,
Mhm. Yeah.
that. So how they played a role in selecting this qualification?
So I think it was a very fundamental role, primarily because the senior that I worked with most closely during my initial year, my first year, he just became a CPA. I think when I was going to start, he had just become a CPA. And my manager at the time was also a CPA. So on that part, it was a bit clear that, I have some role models right in front of me. There was another family member who was a CPA. So the pivotal role that mentors had was this, that they were sort of role models and I could just follow their footsteps.
That Nikhil, when coming back to the achievement, what you say did in a very remarkable fashion, right? World ranked number one in CPA. How was that, man? How did you manage to pull that off?
So I think World Rank 1 was just for one particular subject, and I did not sort of expect it, but for that particular section, I think my preparation was as perfect as it could have been. Uh, so just to give you a context, that was in regulation section of the CPA, which is majorly US tax and also business law.
Mhm.
Just starting with that subject, I think I felt completely lost because a lot of people have idea of tax because they work in tax, right? It was completely foreign to me. So completely foreign. A, because it's US tax, and B, I don't know tax.
Yeah. Yeah.
So first thing that I did was, initially I had thought that I'd go within 3 months.
Mhm.
First thing that I did was I pulled it back. It's like I'm gonna take as much time as it would require, because I could not understand anything for the life of me. I would read, but it would not go inside my head. So I think the fact that I spent more time with that particular subject really helped towards the very end.
Mhm.
And w- timing is also very important, because we work at big fours. What usually we have seen is November, December, and initial parts of January are pretty light, in a sense. You don't have that many deadlines.
Mhm.
So that's when I actually appeared for the exam. So I took the extra time that I had with respect to work. I utilized that on my studies. And yeah, it was a perfect preparation, in a sense that so many times I would just sit to study and lose track of time. I'd just do questions upon questions, and I would just be like, "Oh, it's been an hour. I should get up." And yeah, it was perfect in that sense. And I think the results sort of justified the preparation, because
Mhm.
I felt very confident going in, coming out of the exam. It was perfect.
How much was your score? Just for everyone, you can call that out,
Uh,
right?
it was 99, which is the highest possible score.
And what's the passing percentage for each and every paper, Nikhil?
Passing percentage in terms of how many people pass, or like overall, what do
For
you need to pass?
how many marks you need? 50, 49, or
You need 75 on each section, and you also need to clear all of the exams within 18 months.
okay. So there's a time stipulation as well in that. But great achievement,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
59. I can never imagine how you have achieved that. I still I can relate to your circumstances as well, right? How you're managing your work, and then it's crazy, right? When you work for a big four, expectations are really different. But I think you have planned it well in terms of choosing the right months when you can give the exams, when is the lean period, and what definitely I really liked about your preparation, what you just mentioned, right? There's no shortcut to success, right? You're not able to understand that particular subject, so you invested your own sweet time in that, and then went to the exam. So that's really amazing, Nikhil, right? And I feel somewhere your mindset also it would have changed after working for years in a big four, right? So how your big four experience has helped you in your studies so far?
So I think my experience was very relevant when I appeared for the audit exam. I
Mhm.
just felt everything sort of came very naturally to me, and even I think the subject matter was also, coinciding with the trainings that we do. I mean, we all of us do a lot of trainings, and
I love them.
when you appear for audit exam, it's like, oh, it's back. So it was a lot of coinciding, and I mean, I got it very naturally. And one of the things that Big Four also does is you sort of feel very confident going into the exam. I think the best things that Big Fours do is make you feel very confident in yourself, which is actually very important on the exam day, or be it anywhere else as well. So yeah, I think Big Four sort of helped in that, and I would sort of give a shout out to the management that I have. They've supported me throughout, and I've gotten really. I mean, I would get time off every time I would plan, but in return, I mean, I wouldn't plan my exams during busy period either.
Oh,
So it was that.
definitely, Nikhil, right? That's something you've said in a very well manner, right? How you plan your study, how Big Four makes you a completely different person, right? And not taking credit away from any other firms or organizations, but the expectations are really different. And one thing I really liked, which I would like everyone who's working in a Big Four and pursuing their studies, if the firm is very flexible to you, you have to return that as well, right? It's not like it's if it's a busy season, I'll give my exams and stuff, right? So very well done on that that maturity you have shown. It's excellent, and I feel you have a long way to go when it comes to your career as well, right? You'll be very successful with this particular mindset, Nikhil, right? Just for students, or somebody like me who doesn't know much about CPA, I know bits and pieces. A couple of interviews I did with people who are within my firm who were able to crack CPA in one go. But just for everyone, Nikhil, right? In 2023, if anyone has to pursue CPA, what should be the structure? What should be the path? What he or she should do to complete this qualification? Not just pursue it, but have a plan to complete this as well.
Oh, I think so. Let's take an example of somebody who's already started on this path, or should we, sort of give guidance to people who even are considering to start? What do you think?
Yeah. Anything you prefer, Nikhil, should be okay. We can.
So, so I, so the structure for CPA is something like you firstly have to be a graduate, and it really depends. I mean, where have you done your graduation from? For example, if you've done your graduation from Delhi University, you usually can appear for the exam straight away.
Okay.
But in some other universities, it might be the case that you have to sort of do MCOM before you can appear for the exam,
Yeah.
or you have to sort of do it side by side. Um, so once you sort of enroll yourself in, first thing to understand is that we just have 4 exams. Like for example, with ACCA, you'd have 9 exams, but with CPA, you just have 4. And it's very convenient to just think that you just have 4 exams. But the point is that, like for example, with ACCA, you have tougher exams towards the very end, the advanced taxation, ATT, and all that, right? So what CPA assumes is that you already know the basic stuff. That's why they need the graduation. So you'll just straight up face the tougher exams, which cover everything from 0 to 100. And the most important thing is for you to structure your exams, because there is a time window as well. So you should take the tougher sections first, because such that you don't face the time pressure later on when you're, if for example, the toughest section for me was FAR. It required a lot of preparation, a lot of time, effort. So it usually I think takes 3 to 5 months just to get that particular exam. So I appeared for that exam first so that I don't face the time pressure later on. So I think planning of the exams is very important. Like which section should you take first, which should you take last? All of this is very important. Yeah.
That's wonderful, Nikhil, right? And I feel planning is very important when you pursue anything, right? Be it your work or qualification, but that's a well structured approach. One thing I really liked is you cracked or you attempted the difficult portion first, right? That's I think it's one of the best tips I've heard till date. I didn't knew this time pressure element, which is there within say CPA ACC. We have about 13 odd papers, but again, you are flexible to give at your own convenience. So that's a completely different ballgame. And see, right? Its structure is very different compared to these qualifications as well. So that is good. And any tips for people who are working and pursuing the qualification?
Okay. Before that, I think for anybody who's starting to pursue in 23, what's happening with CPA is the structure of CPA is going to change from the next year, which is January 2024. So one of the exams that we have called BEC, Business Environment, it's going to be redundant now. And instead of that, what you'll have is you'll have specializations, and you can either choose from 3 specializations. One of them is in tax, one of them is in financial, the others in IT and audit. So that that would be another key factor going in the next year. Like, what specialization do you want? So I think so anybody who's just started, I think it would be better if they could just get through BEC right now and not leave it, because we don't know what's going to happen in 24 onwards.
Exactly. And
Right.
if
And now
you won't have the prior papers or how the exams will come in, right? So that plays a big role. That's great, Nikhil.
yeah, and the content structure would be completely new. So it's better just to get this one out of the way first instead of far.
Better to do it as soon as possible. I feel always, right?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
good. Coming back to my question again, right? People who are working and pursuing the qualification, I know the field we work in, specifically audit, right? If you need to go like to higher levels, you need a professional qualification, either CA, CPA, ACCA, right? So any good tips which you can relate to your work and how you prepare?
Yes. So, just speaking with respect to the work-life balance, I think the first thing when you take up any qualification, either of these two, or if you've done CA, you will be watching us. So, I think the first thing is just to accept that your life is for the period that you pursued. Your life is going to be studies and work. You will not really get time to do anything. So there's no point complaining or cribbing about it. Because, yeah, I mean, we all know it. You just have to sort of carry on. But I think there is a silver lining to it.
Mhm.
Because when I initially started my preparation for CPA, it was hectic and tough. Like the first 4 months were really tough because I did not have a great strategy.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So I think one of the best things that you sort of can have is a great strategy in place. And initially, I did not have a great strategy. So I would work for, let's say, 10 to 12 hours because I
Okay.
started in March. So it was busy season. And then I would go and sit to study for, like, let's say, 3, 4 hours sometimes. And I just was reading books. Nothing would get inside of me. Like, I was not grasping the concepts because, what happens is when you work long hours, your mind is not that fresh either. So you sort of have to plan things in a way that you don't really burn out because these are long journeys. It's not like 1 month and you're done. It's going to take more than a year at least. So what you should ideally aim for is to be fresh towards the end as well. So I think I discovered a superpower towards the very end, and I was just enjoying the process. And that superpower, honestly, was one studying technique called active recall.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think I cut down the number of hours dramatically once. I used these techniques, good studying techniques, and a good strategy as well. So, what you sort of do is in active recall is instead of reading the books, you try to quiz your mind after you've learned the subject, and if you can recall what you've studied. And what that does is it sort of makes the information in your mind permanent. And I feel that genuinely helps a lot. And yeah, just managing the work life balance is have know when you're going to be busy and plan your studies accordingly. Like, for example, if I have a sign off this week, I'm not going to study this week
Okay.
because it's irrelevant. You'd sit there, just study, and nothing would get inside of you. And as opposed to when you're not as busy, you can just study when your mind is fresh, and that would just go in. And you can grasp things easier, better, and you don't have to spend, let's say, particularly 3 hours a day. All you have to do is have the topics in mind that you're going to cover, study those, and once you're done, just get off. If you were supposed to study for 3 hours, but you did it in an hour, that's it.
Mhm.
Get off.
That's impressive, Nikhil, again, right? This is something I've heard for the first time, the recall technique. I'm sure whoever is watching this video can try it for beginning. It's not like everyone will get hold of this, but definitely I see a lot of value in this. It's not about the number of hours you sometimes put in. It's how effectively you're studying, right? And again, what you definitely said, if you have a sign off date or a deadline or say any other priority, right, then there's no point of studying as well, right? Your mind at a moment can be there at one or focus at one particular place, right? I know people talk a lot about the multitasking, this tasking, that tasking, right? But when it comes to study, it's just like you have to have that focus quite a lot, right? And also one thing about work-life balance, which I have experienced when it comes to studies or if it comes to work or enjoying time with your family, you have to take that lead, right? It's not like, I know these days firms, they are very flexible compared to the earlier days. After COVID, we got the facility of working from home in a very hybrid environment. But it's up to the people. I still hear a lot of complaints about work-life balance, this and that, but definitely, especially for the younger generation, right? There has to be a sacrifice if you want to achieve a very big goal. It's not a fairy tale, I would say, right? Which is going on that everything will come to you Like we hear a lot of success stories. I'm sure people who would have watched your post or seen your post on LinkedIn, right? They would have seen just one particular post or a couple of them, right? But the hard work which you have put in, or the plan, the strategies you have put in to achieve this, right? I'm sure you would have got a lot of sleepless nights or frustration as well, right? Working for long hours and then coming back open these books and stuff, right? So well done, Nikhil, on that, right? Next question: what kind of study materials did you refer to, just for everyone who's pursuing CPA, or and did you take any coaching from somewhere?
Yeah, with CPA, you don't sort of have an option to not take a coaching. You have to choose between either of the materials. And
Hmm.
one thing about CPA is that you don't really have to spend time reading books or anything like that. What you have to do is you have to practice a lot of questions that would come into the exam. Like, I'm not saying the exact question, but you have to get accustomed to the questions. So you have to take a certain software package. There are many. Uh, so I mean, should not sort of go into which one should you take, but I think they're pretty much all the same because all of them would give you lectures, questions, and then simulations.
Hmm.
So any that has good questions should be taken. Like any software which has good material, not in terms of video recordings, but in terms of questions, that
Hmm.
should be the one that anybody takes. And yeah, we don't just have an option to not take the coaching or anything because everything's in the software.
That's like a mandate. You have to go through this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
One question I'm trying to also figure out, Nikhil, right? In India, what are the different coaching providers, or how you can get access to these materials online or
I
otherwise?
I think in India there are primarily the two players.
Mhm.
I think there are a number of players, but all of them sort of offer Becker, and the other is Miles, which is a bit different from Becker. And then if you go just online, then all of the international providers would give you the access to their material. I think there's
Mhm.
Roger, there's Wiley, there's just a number of them. So I think all of them could be taken, but there are only two options that are based on Indian like coaching, right?
Okay. Brilliant. That's helpful, Nikhil, right? So just moving a bit away from your studies and your work life, right? When you got this news of completing your CPA, right, with a world rank in one of the papers, how did you celebrate with your family, friends?
Yeah. So I think I had a bit contrasting personalities in each of the exams. Initially, I used to get very excited. Like when I got world rank one, the 99 score, I just kept shouting like for like 15 minutes, just like Virat Kohli would do on a match. Versus when I completed CP, I was pretty just calm, pretty calm, just like yeah, happened. That's it. Yeah, I think everybody was pretty excited once I completed. Like everybody at my family, my mom was just texting, calling everybody, telling, "Yeah, it's done, it's done, it's done." Then everybody at work was very excited, primarily because also of the scores as well, because these were good scores. So yeah, I think pretty happy.
These are not just good; these are excellent scores, Nikhil. Right? It takes a lot of hard work to achieve this, right? And just say what's next for you, Nikhil. How would you take this forward? Now CPA is done. You're doing good in your career as well. So have you planned something that you do something different, or continue working in the same audit field, or what have you thought after getting this qualification?
I honestly think I didn't plan that far ahead. My first plan was just to let's complete this qualification and let's then see what happens after that. So I haven't planned as such. I am for now thinking just to continue on this field with the firm because see, they've been great to me and yeah,
Exactly.
I should sort of do it, right? Uh yeah, I think that's the plan. But just coming to sort of help others, the CPA or any other qualification, let's say ACCA, would open number of opportunities for them. Be it working at big fours or even industry. Right now, industry sort of hires ACCAs and CPAs. Then you also have the option of working abroad. I think number of opportunities would open up for anybody who pursues and completes these qualifications. Right?
Yep. I know people who pursue it, but then it's very important to reach to that end goal as well, right? Of completing the qualification. It's very easy to say I'm pursuing qualification. I hear a lot that I'm part qualified, or my only response to that is not a qualification, right? Part qualification is never a full qualification. You can't compare, and the job prospects, definitely I agree, it opens up a lot of doors. Especially I feel couple of recent examples I got, right? People who just completed their graduation or even 12th, started pursuing ACCA after graduation, or
Yeah.
MCOM, they started doing CPA, right? And within say a year or 2 years, when they completed the CPA or ACCA after say 2.5 years, I see them growing. I see them getting good job offers and doing very well in their careers as well, right? And what I always feel is, once you get into a Big Four, Big Ten, or any industry firm as well, right? Once, this is like an enabler for you to get into any organization. It's like, once you're in, it's your performance, it's your hard work, it's your skill sets, how you upgrade or upskill yourself later on, right? That this will be the entry to the door, but then once you're in, you have to perform. And I'm sure now when I look back, when once I got ACCA, even I was shouting quite a lot when I got the qualification. But then later on, as I got the job, you started working. When you achieve certain goals, achievements, you tend to calm down as well, right? Okay, this is done as well. Now let's hunt for the next one. So great, Nikhil, right? Nikhil, last question from my side, right? What are the top 3 tips you would give to anyone pursuing a professional qualification in these times, right? I know we are in the age of Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, very short span where people can pay attention as well. So I think your top 3 tips will definitely help out the students out there.
Yeah. I think the first thing would be to sort of stay disciplined, and it does not necessarily have to be hard work. You can enjoy it, right? You can, it's just a couple of hours a day. And so many times we get the perspective wrong that I have to do this. And I would so many times just think to myself that this is the only time that I get to study this material in this fashion. So, first thing would be to be very disciplined. If you're going to do 1 hour a day, do 1 hour a day. If you're going to study for 2 hours, let's keep it two. There's no point, fragmenting your preparation, studying 4 hours one day, zero for the next. Keep it consistent, stay very consistent, study for 2 hours. And yeah, the enjoyment part. The second one would be enjoy the journey. You only get to do it once. I mean, I felt really bad once I just cleared, like, I will not get to do it again. And yeah, the third thing would be the things that enable studying, good studying, keep those in your life. For example, uh, I would always work out every single day before any of my exam. Like, I would take about a month off before every exam. But there were things that enabled me to study well, which was, to work out. And then if I studied, I was able to focus more, do better in a sense. So I think, yeah, these 3 things: discipline, enjoy it, and focus on the things that enable studies.
Exactly, and the best one I like is consistency and the enjoyment part. And glad you took out time for your workouts and didn't interrupt that at any given point of time, right? So well done, Nikhil. Congratulations, big time from my side, and I'm sure people who would be watching this video will surely get inspired. I definitely feel my job is to bring out these success stories, and even if one person sees the video, picks up that qualification, finishes it up, and definitely life changes after that big time, right? Once you're professionally qualified, sky is the limit, I feel, Nikhil, right? Thanks a ton, Nikhil. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to your family. I wish you a very successful career ahead. There's a long way to go, and at any given point of time, you need anything, always happy to have a chat with you. And it was very refreshing chatting with you today, and I'm sure this will help out quite a lot of people.
Thank you so much. Thank you for doing this and helping out so many people. And just when a senior manager does it, it has a better impact versus me doing it and you doing it. It's going to have better impact.
You
Thank
clear
you.
the exams. I'm just a messenger. Nikhil. Great, Nikhil.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for your time, and we'll chat soon. Thanks a lot. Bye. Take care.
Thank you for having me. Bye.